agenda of January 15th, 2026. We'll do call to order, but we do have Chair Murray and Member Mulder that are excused tonight. So if we can get the roll call.
Bacha.
Here.
Devlin.
Here.
Tominello.
Here.
Mulder absent. Oparka here. Chair Murray absent. And Duncan.
Here. Okay, if we can get the motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
We have support. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is accepted. We have the minutes in front of us for the last meeting, December 18th, 2025. I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes as outlined.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes of December 18th? Hearing none, motion in order to, or accept. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are accepted. Just as an announcement, if anybody was here for the short-term rental situation that occurred last month, that will not be discussed tonight. Just, you certainly can talk about it at the end of the meeting, if you so choose to. So, but that's not a topic for tonight, so.
When will that be?
It's still pending. There's a workshop that's been scheduled. It's going to be coming up in the first part of February. And then after that, something most likely would get scheduled at that point. It will go out on agenda and,
It will be posted.
yep. Yep. Okay. Guess it's probably best that we didn't have everybody waste their time with that part. Okay, so we'll go into the hearings and reviews. We have the first hearing, C.1. If you want to read that off.
Case number 20-25 SLU, Huron Point Excavating, North River Road, parcel 17-12-16-101-006.
Okay, we'll hear from the planner on this.
So we have a case, this is from Huron Point Excavating. Representatives are here this evening. This is a request from Huron Point Excavating to establish a temporary marine construction staging yard. This is on a vacant piece of property that's located along along North River Road, adjacent to the Clinton River. The applicant has been in front of us previously for this site as well as some other sites in the township. At this point, the applicant, based on feedback received from a couple meetings ago in front of the Planning Commission, they have made some changes and adjustments to their site plan. They've also revised their request for just a temporary approval under the allowance in the ordinance section 11.14, which allows temporary structures, tents, and uses for up to a 5-year period. But it does require special land use review and approval, or the same procedures that a special land use would need to follow. So that includes a public hearing. So notices were published and sent, and a public hearing has been scheduled for this evening. So you'll want to open the public hearing and then close the public hearing. The Planning Commission has the final authority for the approval or denial of this potential use, which you could do this evening after the public hearing is closed. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you if you have any questions for me about this application or the process to be followed.
Okay. Anybody from the board have any questions up front before we start the public hearing?
I do. Are we allowed to consider a time period less than 5 years?
Yes, the ordinance, and let me read the language for you. Yeah, the approval may be granted by the Planning Commission for a specified period not to exceed 5 years. The Planning Commission may require compliance reviews on an annual basis. So you could do a 5-year approval but require an annual compliance review. You could do a lesser total approval and not require compliance reviews, or a lesser approval, 3 years, for example, and still require annual compliance reviews.
Thank you.
Nobody else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2025 SLU Heron Point Excavating.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll support.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public hearing is open. Anybody from the public would like to speak on the matter? We're gonna hear from you, just hear the issues, and then we'll have them address them at the end.
Jim Senstock, 31698 San Juan. I live in Venice Shores, which is directly east of this site. We have to drive by it every single day and look at what's going on there. Fortunately, I've been looking at what's been going on there. When this was brought in front of the Planning Commission the first time, you guys advised them to go seek a temporary use. And at the time, I made the statement during public comments that all they're doing is trying to delay it to make sure nobody shows up. I would like to know exactly what has changed from the original submission, which was just brought in, which was brought in a couple months ago, and this one. The only thing I see changed is the fact that the wording says temporary, which allows up to 5 years. That's not temporary in my estimation. And they took the fence off. So with that, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I think are a problem here. First off, it doesn't meet the SLU requirement for the minimum minimum amount of acreage. It still doesn't meet that. They have, they basically said the site is actual width 57 to 83 feet. There's no 57 feet out there. Half of it's in the, well, I won't say half, some portion of it is in the river underwater. That is not a site. Additionally, they have an approved site over off of South River Road that was originally an SLU. I believe it's still an SLU, and nothing has, that was originally the Department of Roads got involved and wanted to use it as a staging area, et cetera. I took a ride over there today, and that site is completely vacant. Why do they even need this site? The bridge is completed. Nice looking bridge, by the way. And in addition, according to back in August, I think it was August when we saw them, I brought up the fact that you are required, if you're going to do an SLU, you're required not to make any changes to the site until you get your approval. They took out at least 6 or 8 boat wells, knocked the pilings out so they could get their whatever 55-foot barge in there. And then they proceeded to park that barge there. They claimed they did not have any, do anything with the roadway that's in there. And you could clearly go over there, and I went over it at that time, and they had made some grading changes to that. Additionally, they claim in this new thing that they put, they're not going to keep anything on site. Well, there's been a roll-off dumpster on that site since back in August. In addition, they...
Time is up, Mr. Senstock.
Well, yeah,
Thank you.
I'd like to ask for a couple of extra minutes. I'm bringing up a
Unfortunately,
pretty
no.
valid point.
We have to adhere to the rules, so 3 minutes today. Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on behalf? Just state your name and address, if you could.
Gabriel Sullison, 29869 Riverside Bay Court. I live directly across the river from the site. Obviously, I have some major concerns with the value of my home. once it becomes a construction site or a temporary construction site for years on end. When I bought my home, I had no intention of moving across the river from a dredging company with cranes, with, barges and so on, and that's what it's turned into. Even before you guys have granted any sort of variance, there's been equipment there nonstop. Yes, the site did get cleaned up slightly, but at the same time, I don't want to see it for the next 5 years. So, I mean, if the value of my home goes down, I hope my taxes go down too. So, but I definitely have some concerns with the noise. I have concerns with the hours of operation. I think that should be stipulated, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on behalf of? Anybody else like to speak on behalf of this? Going once, going twice. Okay, I get a motion in order to close the public hearing.
Do we want to have the applicant?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We have the applicant come and speak now.
Hi, my name's Crystal with Huron Point Excavating. The storage yard over there, there is currently a roll-off dumpster. We originally found that location because we were hired by the property owner to remove the barge, the sunken barge and boat, and then remove the damaged docks and some poles. The project is still ongoing. There's an open permit for it. The work has to be completed. The project's kind of been on hold because of weather and stuff like that. It's literally moving forward, the project, once they're done removing the docks and everything, that yard is going to be literally for storing barges, loading and unloading. There's no upland storage. And then you guys had made comments about the bathroom. The barges are equipped with porta-johns. And then there's also the marina facility that we're renting the dock space from has bathroom usage.
Okay, there was a question by Mr. Senstock about the original submission of a few months ago in the space, the acreage. I think square footage was a little bit of an issue before. Has that changed at all?
The site plan, and I'm not sure if this was an error on the original site plan that they submitted, or if they've negotiated additional property, that the entire site is 33,000 square feet, or their lease area is just under 20,000 square feet.
It was an error on the
Okay,
original application.
the minimum lot size for the waterfront district is 15,000 square feet.
Okay, but if I'm correct, the last time we were here, we were of the understanding that they did not meet the criteria
Correct.
at that point.
Correct.
Okay. And then there was also a question about the site off of South River, which I believe she's moved on to something else. if I'm
Correct.
correct on that.
Yes, correct.
The owner of that site. And then Mr. Gabriel had said something about hours of operation. What's your intent? What type of equipment do you plan on having there?
The hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5, occasionally 6 p.m. Saturdays, they occasionally work. It's not even every Saturday. That would be like 8 to 3. Sundays, they do not work. And the equipment that would be there would just be, I think the largest excavator they have is a 360, which isn't even a super large excavator. They have to be small enough to fit on the barges, so.
Mr. Chair, just to also further clarification on the hours of operation, on their site plan, they say Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Yep, right there, yeah.
Saturday to Sunday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and no equipment operations before 7:30 a.m. That's indicated on the site plan.
Okay. So that could be an issue for some people, obviously. Okay. Any questions from the board?
Did you say there'd be no storage on land? It would all be on the barge?
Correct. The only storage they need for like would be exchanging like sheet pile or pipe or whatever to and from. So no upland storage for that site. They would come in with the trailer, unload it, put it on the barge, and anything that comes off the barge would be loaded onto trailers and trucked off site.
So the operation will be a little bit different than what was happening at the Jefferson Ave site? It seemed
Correct.
like there was a lot more there.
At the none of the stuff from Jefferson's going to North River Road. It's literally just like docking boats. We just need somewhere to park the barges.
Okay, understood.
Further questions from the board? Before we shut down?
So just to clarify, you do not need a dumpster on site?
Not permanently. If they're coming back from a project and they're unloading project materials and it's dock debris or what have you, they load it into a dumpster and it immediately leaves site. There's nothing proposed to stay on the site. It would come in, get loaded, trucked off.
Does anybody on the board have any knowledge of how far down the North River Road work is going to be done? They're planning on repaving that. The signs are up already. This could be a bit of a problem for that area. If you go by that road, the orange signs from the county are up, that there's going to be some work going on there. Are you aware of any of that as you approach the
I've
county?
seen signs. I'm not sure what roads or what projects are kicking off.
Yeah, it's definitely North River. There's definitely going to be some work over there. One of our members that is not in attendance did send some questions along that he's concerned about. You had to approach the county about some road work being done. Have you heard anything on that? Because he feels the way you're set up right now is going to be exceptionally difficult to pull off any equipment or materials going in and out of there without causing a lot of disruption to the North River Road traffic.
So contact the county about,
No, we're just curious what you know about it, because
Nothing.
it says, according to this, you've only got basically one end, once there's not a separate outlet further down. You're going to have some issue with that, and he just wants to know what you heard from the county.
I haven't heard nothing from them yet. So we did ask to widen the approach to 50 feet, and they said the max allowed was 30 feet, and they was only allowed the one entrance in.
Okay, so that
That's
could
the
pose
only-
an issue for the area. Okay. I'm just trying to see, he did have a few points, I just want to make sure we bring them out. He had an issue about the dumpster not being listed.
So the dumpster that's there is for the current project to remove the docks and everything. There's an open permit through Harrison Township and the Army Corps and the state.
Okay. His other issue was also, as stated earlier, a lack of screening or fencing proposed.
That I originally wanted to do fencing, the township setbacks. Some of the residents seemed opposed to it, so said, I guess, did away with the fencing for less complicating, to make it less
I don't
complicating.
recall, yeah, I don't recall an issue from the township residents on that issue. He looks at it as both a aesthetic and a safety issue with there being no fencing there. It's tend to wonder if the site's even allowable for something like that with, all the easements and everything. It's a pretty tight site. He was questioning, about the, like I said, delivery of the, structural steel, flatbed trailers, construction equipment, with the one entrance, and basically the county not allowing a second. So just to bring that out, what he was concerned about.
It's accessible for boat trailers and bringing trailers and stuff in that way.
Well, that's an allowed use at present. Right now, we're discussing something that we'd be allowing above and beyond that, so.
But I think that point is well taken, that the site has accommodated large trailers with large pieces of things on them. And then I did query the road project. It looks like I-94 to Bridgeview Street is planned for rehab in 2026.
So opposite side of, okay.
other questions for the petitioner? None?
I have a question
yeah.
about the driveway site. And Adam, in your letter, it says Macomb County Road Commissioner approval of driveway to the site will be required. We have a note from the road department that says it only allows a 30-foot maximum, and they will not allow a second approach. So would that be considered the approval they need, or
So
just leaving it as is fine?
they'll need the approval. We appreciate the comments, having the comments in front of us tonight, so we know what the road commission will require. So they'll require one entrance 30 feet wide. And so that is, they'll ultimately have to secure the permit, whether you want them, often we, you can, that could be a contingency for an approval if approval is what you went with this evening.
Question. There's already approach there that's just under 30 feet, that needs a permit still to be allowed to use it, or just, like she said, leave it as is? Nothing's changing.
If the road commission does not require you to secure a permit, then provide us evidence from the road commission indicating that.
Okay, okay.
Permit might be easier.
A permit may be easier, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't say that out loud, did I?
Anything further?
The site plan shows an excavator on land, so there will be an excavator stored on land, or?
It's not stored on land. The only time an excavator would be on land is if it's coming in by trailer and getting onto the barge, or coming off of the barge onto a trailer.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think just for additional clarification, and there's a lot of detail and statements that are made on their site plan. So it's related to what will be stored, what will be done. I think it's worth, maybe I could restate some of the bullets that are on the site plan, just for the benefit of those in the audience and then for the planning commission too. So the proposed use will include mooring and staging of barges along the shoreline, water and land access for loading and unloading barges, delivery of materials by truck, primarily steel piling and marine construction components, temporary staging of steel and related marine construction materials, use of an excavator or backhoe upland to load and unload materials between land and barges, transfer of materials via barge to marine and shoreline construction projects, storage of trailers, push boats, parentheses, winter, dumpster, and limited accessories as needed, and in parentheses, compactors, hammers, booms, buckets. Yeah, those are the bullets as part of their description of the proposed use. So it does say storage of trailers, push boats, dumpster, and limited accessories as needed.
In winter months, in the event they have to come out of the water for storage, just like winter storage for the boats. But the barges do not come out in the winter, they're steel. In fact, most of our boats are steel and they stay in winter, all winter. Occasionally, I think like once in every 3 or 5 years, we pull them out to just flush and clean the motors or whatever during the winter months and winterize them and then replace batteries, do maintenance occasionally. Like I said, that's happened once every 3 to 5 years. Everything we have steel sits in the lake all year round.
And Mr. Chair, if I can just maybe point out in my review letter, I did have some comment, just some site plan comments for the
Certainly.
planning commission to consider. They do have shown marked or designated an area for parking. I just want a minor adjustment to ensure that those parking spaces meet the minimum size per the ordinance. They aren't showing any screening or landscaping of the use. You know, I think we talked about it, you can't screen the barge because it's on the river. That doesn't necessarily help the residents across the river, but you may consider screening, for example, like a fence or something like that, or landscaping along the road frontage. There's limited space in there, but the right-of-way is shown, and there would be space on the property to accommodate some screening. So it's just something that you can consider given the nature of this use. And then I did ask the question about a restroom facility for the employees as they're staging or unloading and loading. That was answered that the facility, there's a restroom on the barge itself. So I think that a note could be added to the site plan to that effect. Possibly they could, based on direction that you might suggest or provide to them, they could add some screening, fencing, or whatever you might suggest. And then I think, some of the things, the storage, but then I heard her say winter storage, so I think that needs to be clarified. If we're talking winter storage, what's the winter season and what materials will be stored? So these are maybe some clarifications that could be added to the site plan.
Yeah, one question I do have for petitioner is, obviously you've been in front of us a few times. We had the South River Road project, which I think you had to come to us for a special land use approval probably several years after you had taken residence at that location. Then we had the Jefferson area this past year that is no longer viable. And now we're here on the North River Road one. The South River Road project sounds like that's over. The lady has moved on from there. Tonight you're requesting a temporary land use for this site. What's the future? If we gave you 18 months to use this facility at this location, where are you going from there?
I didn't know that it's literally like
Well,
parking
this
boats.
is a temporary, you're requesting a temporary use of this area, so that must mean you have hopefully some idea of where you plan on going, unless you're shutting the company down in the next 5 years.
So we've been actively looking for a location to put the upland storage. We would prefer on the water. Trying to find somewhere on the water with the required water depth has been extremely difficult. But the way I guess from my understanding how the operation we're doing, it go to the city or the township as temporary special land use because it's temporary upland staging for, the only portion I need from Harrison Township is to use the land to access the barge. So, and that's temporary stage for the barge.
Okay, so you're looking for this to be indefinite, essentially is what you're looking for. Okay.
I couldn't,
I'm opposed to that, so. That's all I got. Anybody else before we shut down this portion?
So, in terms of the landscaping or a screening fence, I think that would be a good idea. Is that something that you'd be able to accommodate?
we were interested in doing a 6-foot fence with the green screen like we had over on South River Road.
The green, oh, okay.
Yes, with the
slats
green,
or whatever.
yeah.
So how do you put a fence and you're gonna load over the fence?
No, it would go on North
Direct that
River.
towards the chair, please. So, yeah. So how would you handle that with coming and going in and out?
So the fence would go on the North River side, not the river side, because you gotta have access to and from the barges. And then there would be a gate, either an electric rolling gate or sliding gate of some sort to be able to come and go.
So you had a chance to go in front of the, I can't remember exactly the name.
Tech team?
Yeah, the tech team prior to this. I think you had the availability of their professionalism to kind of go this. We're still left with a lot of questions here. Kind of expected more today than what I'm seeing. We're still got too many questions that are pending.
I didn't know a fence was required. That was one of one of the questions I had asked. I was under the impression that it would go the operation the way we're proposing it, because we only need to do it temporary staging. It's not permanent storage upland. It would fall under temporary SLU application. And then it would possibly go for like a 1-year review. If there's no citations or no issues, it would be reviewed like that.
So can you tell us about the winter storage? Can you provide some more details on
So
what that might?
in the, if, and that's a big if, there was winter storage, it would strictly be boats, upland. So,
Like boats with
Like-
covering on them, or?
push boats with, no, they don't need to be covered. They're steel.
How big are push boats?
I want to say our biggest one is 27 feet long by, I think it has a 10-foot beam with,
Well, I wonder if it would be good to indicate an area where that would be, maybe like the widest portion?
that's probably if they were to be put up land at the widest portion.
And then, Adam, is there a requirement how far from the property line that trailers or boats have to be stored?
No, that would be up to the planning commission's discretion.
And as for the fence, is there a proposed location you guys, like where do you guys want to, for a fence to go?
My personal viewpoint is that's up to you to bring to us, not for us to have to guide you. Was this something done by
So,
your company? Or
yes.
was this professionally done?
That was something done by our company.
Okay, and that's, I think, was pointed out in the past, is it becomes a problem sometimes, at least in my viewpoint, not speaking for the board, when it's not professionally done. It makes it difficult for us, because then we're left with questions. The public doesn't see exactly what they want to see if they're looking at it online. When I opened this up this past week, it just, for me, there's just still too many questions on this project.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to clarify something. I keep hearing the applicant say that it's her understanding that this temporary use is because you're using it temporarily to more things. But the entire intent behind the ordinance is it's a temporary use of the property for a stated period of time, not because you're using it temporarily to load boats. Do you see the distinction?
I don't own the property, so like it's a 3-year, if we were to approve, so a
Understand,
3-year
But the approval
lease,
is
so.
still a temporary approval, anywhere up to 5 years.
Okay,
That's the temporary nature of the use. I mean, the request.
Yeah, which was why my question was posed, that if we gave you 18 months, where are you planning to go after that? And that's why I posed it in that form.
Well, the applicant can always ask
Yeah,
for
sure.
another temporary use. Or you could grant 5 years or less.
Yeah, because in reality, we're granting this to the owner of the property, not Huron Point, the owner, Clinton River Boathouse LLC.
so would you be happy if I said it is the duration of the lease upon approval of upon approval of SLU?
I just bring that up for the public's sake, so they kind of know what they're looking at, and the board also, obviously. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I would like to have a clear understanding of how long you're seeking this for. If your lease is 3 years, are you wanting us to grant 3 years? Are you asking for 5 years?
I guess I can't give you a definite answer on that. We'd have to revisit it. So 3 years to start with, and depending on how it's going, as you get closer to the end date.
Well, I'd like to see, on the site plan, an indication of where any winter storage will occur, where any parking will happen, where the trailers are going to be when you're bringing the material in and out. I'd also like to see a proposal for some kind of screen. Whether it's
I'm
a fence
sorry, I
or
didn't
landscape.
put like the stuff on the locks, like the lot's so narrow, like I kind of just thought it's kind of, you pull in, you get your one space to load and unload,
Yeah, I think that's one reason why I'd like to see it, just to see if it can work.
okay.
And how it's gonna look.
Where you're gonna be temporarily putting a dumpster. If you have boats stored in the winter and you need a
Well, if there's-
dumpster for a project you're working on, how is that all gonna fit on this site? In your notes, you state that there will be temporary storage of materials as they're transferred to the barge. How long is that? You know, is it gonna sit there for 4 months or?
No, I would say within hours that they're brought in.
I'm not opposed to this temporary use in this location, but I just don't feel like we have enough information to truly judge the impact, which is what we're asked to do. So if, my preference would be to table this and ask you to think through and add some of those details. But that's just me, I'm just one person.
I would agree, because at present, how it's presented, I would be a nay.
So just so we're 100% clear and we don't have to keep tabling this, what you guys just want to see where stuff would be stored for the winters, where the trailers would pull in, where dumpster would be stored,
Parking.
parking, correction, anything else,
Fence location.
The screening.
fence location.
Fence location, and probably landscaping as well.
What type of landscaping are you? Is there like a special requirement for the
I
township?
believe there's
or-
ordinances that you can reference.
Well, there's a list of, vegetation that is not preferred, you know. Typically, for these types of applications, we ask that it be an evergreen, like an arborvitae, something that provides screening, throughout every season, not just the summer. And, but the only problem with those is if they're right at the road, they do get salt impacted, and you have to wrap them in the winter. The ones that are at the Spillway Park, that you
new
probably
one.
drove by all the time. Yeah, so those are good, a good all year round landscape screening.
And I would also say, any more information you get from the county on the driveways, the entrance issues, and then having some idea of what your future is, because I personally, if I sat on the board for years to come, I would be hard pressed in taking it, if we were trying to help you out as a community, much more than 3 years. I think there's some relief available to the neighborhood. We know you're kind of in a bind with some of this, but to have you stay here permanently, I personally don't see it.
Well, I think that's why it's a temporary
Yeah.
use.
But it sounded like the intent was that really wasn't what she was thinking, so.
I guess I would further say that I'll be looking at some sort of reevaluation, maybe every 2 years or something.
Like everyone here. We've done
I would be
that with
okay with
other-
that, too.
We've set that standard with other temporary uses, and I think something like this would require an annual review. Or should require, I guess.
Would it be advisable to keep the public hearing open, or?
I think we should close the public hearing and then bring it back to the board for a motion.
Okay.
Anything else before we take a motion to close the public hearing from the board? Nothing? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support?
Support.
All those in favor? Yay?
Do we
Yes,
need
yeah,
a
Aye.
roll?
That is a roll
I
call.
think we need-
Oh, okay, sorry.
Member Devlin?
Yes.
Member Oparka, yes. Bacha?
Yes.
Tominello?
Yes.
Chair Duncan?
Yes. Okay. The public hearing on this matter is closed, so we're left for discussion or a motion.
If nobody has any further discussion, I would make a motion to table this matter to allow the applicant time to provide some more information to help us make the decision.
Is there a second?
Do we need to include something in the motion of the items we discussed for improvements?
I mean,
Or any
Rosemary's
items?
saying yes, but I don't want to like limit in case,
Okay.
does that like mean we can't come up with, there can't be something else
She
that
can
occurs?
present more if she wants to,
Sure.
but at least at a minimum, those were the items that
Right.
you, at a minimum, wanted to see.
So the items discussed, the items that are also in the planner's review, and any items on the engineer's review. I'll second that. Did it get seconded?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, I'll second it if you make those amendments.
I don't think the planner's review included the winter storage and the parking.
Right. So it was
So,
everything we discussed.
I'll add that.
plus
Some sort of indication from Department of Roads. And then the items listed on the planner's review letter dated January 8th.
And a request for exactly how long
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
seeking
Say that.
temporary approval
And
for.
come back knowing how long.
As well as specifics on the length of time requested.
All right, we'll go roll call.
Member Devlin?
Yes.
Member Tominelli?
Yes.
Member Baccia?
Yes.
Member Oparka? Yes. Chair Duncan?
Yes. All right, motion passed. It is tabled till further notice. All right, we're on to case number C-.2. Want to read that one up?
Sorry, I'm just waiting till
I know, it's like-
and
it's
the
like-
sound stop.
Is the thing on
Case-
fire or something?
Case 02-26-RZ Bose Enterprise LLC, Jefferson 17-12-21-103-012. This is a conditional rezoning from general commercial to industrial for the future development of boat and RV storage condominiums.
Just trying to figure out what this is.
Yeah.
Going on here. Oh, okay.
You could ask the applicant to come up though.
And I can also give a background.
Sure, yeah.
It's not too distracting.
Just a little bit.
Oh, there we go. Okay, this is a conditional rezoning request. The applicant is here this evening. It's Paul Egler, Boaz Enterprise. Boaz Enterprise. The property is located near the corner of Jefferson Avenue and Metro Parkway. It actually has frontage directly along Metro Parkway, the property. It doesn't have frontage on Jefferson. It's behind one of the properties that immediately front Jefferson Avenue. And this property does have easement access to Jefferson through the adjoining properties. The property is 1.64 acres in size, and the property is currently undeveloped. The applicant is proposing, according to their application materials, they're proposing to establish a multi-building storage facility for boats, RVs, and other items. I think we show some concept plans that illustrate this, yes. The property is zoned general commercial district, and the general commercial district does not allow indoor warehousing, mini storage facilities, or any use that really covers what is being proposed here. It's my understanding, I'm sure the applicant can clarify, that these storage units will be available for ownership through a condominium development. So this would be like a commercial condominium, and each unit would be sold. Or they could also be leased if you maintain the ownership as the manager for the property, and then, or you would lease each unit. And then these would be units that have electrical, heating, plumbing, sewer as well. So basically a garage that can be used and rented for the storage of vehicles and toys and things of that nature, boats and RVs and whatnot. So because the general commercial district does not allow indoor warehousing use, the applicant is seeking a rezoning to the industrial district. That's the only zoning district in the township that allows mini storage, indoor warehousing uses. The applicant, though, recognizes that, they're not asking for all of the other uses that might be allowed within the industrial district, and so they've offered to you a conditional rezoning to the industrial district. And as part of that conditional rezoning request, they have shared with you a letter dated December 22nd, 2025, that includes the statement of what they're offering. And they say, our intention is applying for a rezoning from general commercial to industrial to build a multi-unit storage community housed in approximately 3 buildings for the purpose of storing boats, RVs, cars, and other items. The units will be privately owned, and the exteriors of the building and the property will be maintained and serviced through an established homeowners association agreement. If rezoned, the proposed site layout for the multi-unit storage community will be generally as depicted on the enclosed conceptual plan, this plan up on screen here. However, the final site plan will require approval by the Harrison Township Planning Commission. So this is just the request for rezoning this evening. Any rezoning requires notices and a public hearing to be held in front of the Planning Commission. And so the public hearing has been noticed, and that is this evening. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on this request. Once the public hearing is then closed, the Planning Commission could make a recommendation tonight. The Planning Commission is not the final authority for rezonings. You're a recommending body. So the Planning Commission would make a recommendation to approve or deny and send that recommendation to the Township Board, and then the Township Board has final authority for approval or denial. If the rezoning is approved, then the applicant can come back, and they would come back to the Planning Commission with a more fully detailed and fleshed out site plan with more details. And that would require an additional level of review by the Planning Commission. So that is the project and the process this evening.
Would the petitioner like to come up, give a brief explanation of your project before we open the public hearing?
My name is Paul Egler. I live at 38546 Lakeshore, and I've been a lifelong resident of Harrison Township. And I've been looking at these storage units or these storage communities that I've, studied. There's a couple up in Petoskey. There's one in Waterford. I've done a lot of research to make sure that what I'm going to build is, very attractive, very upscale. I've got a phase 1 environmental study that was done on the property. There's nothing been on the property since I think he went back to 1937. And the property is very attractive for this type of development. I've looked at other uses that the township has recommended in either the general commercial or the industrial zoning, and I think this is one of the best fits and one of the biggest needs in our township, because there's so many houses on the water that are basically on postage-sized lots, and there's people that have, a lot of toys and a lot of things that they want to store, and this is a perfect use for that property, because it gives the option to pull these things in so you don't have all these boats shrink wrapped outside. And it's not that big of a development, but it's kind of big for me, but I think it's, if you've seen some of the pictures that I've included in my package, and I'm modeling after a development that was done up in Petoskey in Bay Harbor, and once I saw these units up there, I said, man, those are just really nice looking units. And there's another unit up there in Petoskey also that's called Harside Grove, and they're just really nice units. And that's a picture of several of the different things that were. So basically, what we'd be selling or, you know, rent leasing. I'm not sure what direction we're going to go, whether it's going to be leased or sold at this point. But the third picture down there is one of the units that's inside, and people like will be able to finish off their units, and they can put like a mezzanine or whatever if they want to, which would allow for, you know, the people to use the loft or whatever up there. And some of the units have those that are in the properties that I've looked at, and that's all something that an owner would do. But I mean, we have, I think there's 1,000, you know, over 1,000 homes on the water, 1,500, I think, wasn't it? That's my wife Heather. So we've got, I've got an architect working on the elevations, and, you know, if this goes forward, which I think, you know, it's a great use for the property. I've met with Adam, I've met with Larry, I've met with Lawrence Shackett, and, you know, he's given me some directives as to what we'd have to do, and that sprinkling the units is something that he would require, and that's an extra cost, but I think it provides a level of safety for people that are, you know, putting maybe a $400,000 or $500,000 boat in there, and or an RV that costs maybe that same amount of money, you know. So if there's ever an issue, it would be sprinkled, it would be safe, place to store something like that, some high-end stuff. So, I don't know. My wife's probably sitting there going, you can tell them this or you tell them that, but I'm trying to figure out what all of the other things that.
Well, we're gonna open the public hearing.
Yeah,
If
okay,
there's
that's fine.
concerns, you'll have the
But,
opportunity to address those.
And you're
So-
welcome to speak as well.
Yeah. I'm just trying to, so basically what I'm proposing is, for the site plan, there'd be 3 buildings. It's roughly about 20 units. Each unit would have the option to put a bathroom, a loft, you know, somebody, if they wanted to build a little office in there, not that, you know, that they're going to be they won't be running businesses out of there. I have a lot of experience in the building and the supply of construction materials, so I would definitely use a lot of the high-end materials. I mean, the unit and the project in Waterford that I am emulating is, I've been working with Ed, the owner there, and he built 64 of these units, and the owners are very pleased and happy. So I'd be emulating a lot of the construction materials that he used. I mean, the population of Harrison Township is basically 24,000. It's expected to grow to 28,000 in the coming years. So there's growth among the 35 to 64-year-old age group, with the median age being in the 40s. 1 in 6 of those people are boat owners, and that's significantly higher than the state average as far as boat owners. 62% of the properties in Harrison Township are less than a quarter acre, and they really are limited for on-site storage at their houses. And if you try to get inside storage at any one of the marinas, you can't get it because they're all full. So that's one of the things that makes this attractive. And like I said, there's over 1,500 homes on either with direct lake access or canal access. There's nothing like this that I've seen in Harrison Township that would, you know, beautify the area. I mean, I drive by it, you know, 4 times a day, so I'm not going to build something that's not going to look, you know, first class. So, like I said, the architect is working on the elevations currently. The project will bring in a lot of revenue for Harrison Township in the form of taxes. You know, we really need to make sure that the elevations and everything from 16 Mile are very attractive. And again, the pictures that I presented, they're really nice. I mean, I think. But But, there's a lot of challenges with this property because it's not a square parcel. It's got diagonal lines and stuff, so it kind of causes a little bit of hardship with meeting the setbacks and all that stuff to try to fit this in there. But I've researched it shows 38 feet, 8 inches between the buildings, and I've talked to Jeff over at Boatworks and a couple other people that move boats, and they said, if you give me 38 feet, I can put anything, any, and if somebody couldn't do it like me, I can't back a boat up. I let my wife do that for me because she's better at it than I am, but, I could hire Jeff for $100, he'll come over and put a boat in any spot that's, so there's basically 4 different sizes, and they're big. They're not like a mini storage. They're larger units. They're 20 by 60, so that's 1,200 square feet. There's 20 by 40, that's 800 square feet. 30 by 50, that's 1,500 square feet. And then there's 25 by 50. So there's those 4 types of units, 4 sizes. So in each unit would have a private entrance, a door, a regular door, and then it would have a garage door that would be 15 feet wide, 14 foot tall, and so you can get just about anything that's legal on a street trailer in one of those openings. So.
Hi, I'm Heather Egler, same address, 38546 Lakeshore. Just to clarify for the public hearing, there would be landscaping along 16 Mile, as he said, so that it's attractive. There is a lot of traffic that goes back and forth to the Metro Beach, as well as residents to the neighborhoods and things, so it would look nice. And each unit is self-contained. I believe it was the fire marshal who suggested like the firewalls in between each unit. And this is not like your typical storage facility that you think of with the rolling metal door that opens up. I mean, these are garage doors that look like the garage doors on our homes. Windows, possibly clear story windows with the roof line on the other side, so natural light. They'll be beautiful.
Yeah, I think, obviously, the public is happy to hear that, and I think the board too. Tonight, basically, we're looking at the possibility of rezoning. You would still end up coming before the
Right, yeah,
panel to discuss all that parts of it.
Sorry if I went long-winded.
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you.
And, Mr. Kizzy, he's the property owner of the car wash and the oil change place, and he's the current owner of the property, and we have a limited time because I've got a option to purchase the property, and I've got to do all the due diligence I can to get this thing. So if it's going to go, I got to, make it happen, because I don't want to buy something that I can't do what I want to do on it, so I think he understands that, so.
All right, seeing that, I will take a motion to open the public hearing on KC point 2.
So moved.
Support.
All right. We have the motion to open the public hearing. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait.
Roll call, everything's a roll call.
Public
this stuff,
hearing is
isn't it?
always a roll call.
Member Devlin?
Yes.
Member Oparka, yes. Member Bacha?
Yes.
Member Tominelli?
Yes.
Chair Duncan?
Yes. All right, the public hearing is open. Anybody like to speak on this matter? Sure. No, that's fine. Yeah, just if you can give your name and address, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Kizzy. The address, I own both of these parcels. I think one of the addresses is 38967 Jefferson.
Yep.
That's the car wash and oil change. I also own the parcel. I also live on the water, so I understand how storage is very valuable, living on the water. So, I've spoke to Paul. Paul is a resident of Harrison Township, and I believe that he really wants to make this happen. And, because he lives in the community, he wants to make it, it's his reputation, his life, So, I'm willing to work with Paul whatever he needs. That's easements, ditches, whatever he needs. I'm willing to help him out to, for the better for Harrison Township. and bring in more business, more, traffic, whatever it can help. So appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know, it's my first time.
Oh, no, thank you, that's me. Anybody else like to speak on the matter? Thank you.
Nancy Byers, 29210 Grandview Street, Harrison Township. I think this is something that the township needs, but when I started hearing adding mezzanines, adding full bathrooms, to me, this is becoming a residential product. And who's going to be preventing people from actually living in these things? They're going to be all self-contained. As you say, they're going to be beautiful and landscape. But at 1,500 square feet, that's a pretty nice home. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
C. William Bardell, 37865 Point Rosa, 29-year resident. I think this is a terrible idea for that area. Why do we want to make warehouses in our area at 16 Mile and Jefferson? Well, I don't get it. You can store that in, store your boats or whatever you want in the industrial area out by Executive Drive. This is industrial. And I saw the drawings and the elevations, and I'm not seeing any romance in it, no. They look like a bunch of tin cans. I'm not seeing any architectural, I'm not seeing any thought involved in the architectural. If they look like houses and you could store a boat and it looked like a house, yeah, I might say yeah, but it might be okay, but no. I'm not seeing any ingenuity in this. No, not at all. No. This is more of the pillaging of the township, and I don't know who pillaged the trees back there, but the trees were out there pillaged, and I know that's been backfilled, and we didn't catch the people that did it, but this is just more degrading and more of a pillaging of the township, and it's not industrial. And you can store your boat anywhere you want. You can store your boat in Fraser in the industrial area. You can store it in our industrial area. This is not industrial, okay? We weren't even supposed to have that expansion on that boat dealership there. So, I mean, this is residential or light commercial. So I'm not seeing this. This is industrial. These are tin cans put here. I'm not seeing any architectural on any of those drawings. One of those drawings I might give a 30% out of 100. But no, I'm not seeing any thought, no ingenuity. There's no savvy in this. No, this is a money grab, and good luck. And I hope I never do this to the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to just have a conversation with that? Mr. Sensor?
Jim Senstock, 31698 CN1. Looking at the facilities or the samples that he put up, they probably, and you guys are going to address that if you approve this later on. My big concern is that how are you going to keep people from living in there? How are you going to police that? I mean, something has to be in the condo association. It has to be policed by, if he's going to be the condo president or whatever, it's got to be policed. Additionally, how are these much different? You've mentioned some here in the state of Michigan, but how are these different than the ones I see advertised out in Arizona and so on, that people buy them and then they come up here for the summer and basically live up here, or in our case, we go down to Arizona and live down there. I've looked at them, I've been solicited to buy some of those. They look attractive, but I don't know that we want people living in these things. That's my real concern. But since you guys are just talking about the rezoning portion of it right now and stuff, some of that stuff would be addressed under the Planning Commission's site plan review. So I'm a little bit hesitant about saying I like it. Usually you're used to me saying I don't like everything, but I'll tell you what, it don't look that bad and it's not that bad idea. One quick question, are they only going to have one garage door? They're not going to have drive-through garage doors? Because I know the ones out in Arizona have drive-throughs, and, so as long as you guys are comfortable with the potential that there's going to be somebody living in here and can address that, maybe we can do it. Maybe he's got something, he's onto something here. I personally store my boat on my property, but, so, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on behalf? Okay. We could have you rejoin the podium. We'll kind of go over some of the questions that came up. Okay, so you heard some of what was said.
Yeah.
One thing you did mention, and this was something that was not necessarily a concern of one of our members that couldn't make it tonight, was the idea of running businesses out of the units, and you had stated that that's not going to be allowed.
That wouldn't be allowed, no.
Okay, and then the other question was, and he also had a concern about this, was the possibility of somebody inhabiting it. I had some discussion about this myself today, and I think we'd be probably looking for some restriction from that there would not be anybody allowed to inhabit the units.
100%, there will be no one living in these units. I mean,
The occupancy would not be residential,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it would
if-
be all kinds of violations if so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Am I
because
right,
it's-
Claire, Marshall?
Yeah, so we had a pretty lengthy discussion on this whole applicant, myself and the bill. The way that these are designed under the fire code, it would be a residential coding for it with a storage component. Well, so you asked that question about living in there. That was the argument for suppression. It's going to be classified as called a group R. And anything in Group R has to be suppressed. That's really the only occupancy group that fits this type of unit, unless it's going to be purely unoccupied storage, then it'd be a storage.
So even when there's engines and all the types of heavier intensity uses that go with owning and maintaining boats and that sort of thing, that would still be an R occupancy?
Because there's potential for living in there, because R is the most restrictive. So that's why it's a Group R. Storage is a little bit less restrictive as far as, suppression coverage and all that. Group R, which is residential, is the most restrictive for that. That's part of the reason why it would be classified as Group R. Storage piece, under the fire code, boats are considered commercial vehicles because of their weight. So there's that component as well that comes into the play with suppression as well. So either way, they're going to be coded either an S or an R. Suppression will be required. So if there is people living in there that we don't know about, suppression will cover that from the fire side.
Okay.
Just for clarification, when the building chief makes reference to R, that's within the building code, there's an R reference, so it's not the same R reference that we use within planning commission.
That's
Even though
the fire
terms
code.
seem to be similar, in the building code, it's like.
Well, and I'm talking about the fire code.
Yeah, fire
Yeah,
code, it's the same,
building
it's the
code,
same,
right.
it's the same thing. So Group R is residential.
And that basically is just to get the more restrictive, which would require the fire suppression.
Correct.
It wouldn't have anything to do with anybody living there, because they're not. And, I mean,
Because the
like
space
I
is-
said, I drive by and I'm,
Space is potential for work, living, discussed.
right.
That's how it's worded in
Yeah.
code. is
If somebody had their boat there and they wanted to have a potential mechanic come and fix his boat while it's in the storage over winter, or repair the canvas, or do something like that, somebody could come and go for that, but, there wouldn't be a person, running a boat mechanic place would all be on private, individual, things that they're working on, so. The units, there's 64 of these units up in Waterford, and I went and looked at the buildings, and the guy that, helped design those things, it was a guy that's really, he's mechanically inclined, and he said, let's build these things so that people can, use them to store their stuff, but, if you want to wax your boat in the inside storage, when it's out of the water, you can do that, and so. They're basically going to be open units, and I think the convenience of having somebody with a bathroom in the unit, it just makes sense that they wouldn't be, looking for going to use the bathroom outside, or, going to the gas station to use their bathroom or whatever. They could just, these aren't going to be, these are going to be high-end units. I mean, I think there's going to be a community effect, and that's what I've seen in these other places. It's a group of people that have a lot of common interests, and they're going to be neighbors, and they'll be hanging out, they put their golf cart in and go to another unit and talk to a neighbor or something like that, so it's pretty cool, I think. So, pretty fun. And as far as the resident that said, I've been in Harrison Township for over 60 years, and I want nice-looking stuff. It's not going to be just a pole barn. It's going to be quality constructed material. I guarantee you'll like it when you see it. What's that? There'll be some brick on the bottom, yeah.
And we'll be talking about that. at the
Which will
site
come
plan.
up if we grant approval.
Go down
That'll
that
be
road,
something
but-
that will be pretty discussed pretty well, because the board does take it,
Yeah,
seriously.
the elevations will be top-notch.
Any questions from the board, from the petitioner? We did have the letter from the fire marshal. He kind of went into his discussion with that prior here.
So I guess I have some questions, but they're probably more for the planner. Should we close the public hearing to start discussion, or discuss during the public hearing?
You can close the public hearing if you'd like.
I think we'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do we have support?
I'll support that.
Support, okay, roll call.
Member Devlin?
Yes.
Member Oparka, yes. Member Baccia?
Yes.
Member Tominelli?
Yes.
Chair Duncan?
Yes. Okay, the public hearing is closed for this portion, so on to the questions from the board.
So, Adam, what happens with this whole access easement? Do you have to have a driveway that is, that is built to a different standard than the rest of the concrete? So how does rezoning this property without actual road frontage, how does that relate,
Right.
and does it?
Yeah. Well, the property exists today without road frontage. Well, it technically has road frontage on Metro Parkway, but obviously no access to Metro Parkway is allowed. So the access to this site is through the easement by way of the properties to the east.
So it's kind of a
Jefferson Avenue.
special case in that.
So it's a unique case. We, and the property does exist today. So the rezoning, whether we approve or deny, or, whether rezoning stays the same, the property is still able to be developed as long as they can secure access into the site, and they would do that through the easement. So, I mean, I don't know the history, but you can see to the north is a detention pond that's presumably was established for the purpose of serving these three properties together. So in one, it appears that maybe it was developed with the thought that this would be kind of one larger development of three different properties.
Commercial properties.
Commercial
Yeah.
properties.
Right.
Absolutely. So, As far as the road standard, so potentially, the township, maybe the township engineer at the time of site plan review might require a higher standard for the road surface, for the easement portion or the shared road. There's really, it's the Sunsport further to the west. And they don't need access, so I don't imagine this is gonna be extended further into the adjacent property, but that would be something that the township engineer could require.
Okay, and on the site plan, could we look for some sort of indication of where the drive would be? Like that would be indicated in real, on the site to anybody entering? Would that be something that you'd want to do?
I guess I'm not following what your question is there. You mean from Jefferson?
Yeah, from Jefferson.
Yes, that is something that we would definitely want on the site plan.
Okay. And so what prevents someone from, say, moving into the back of Buscemi's or, setting a cot up in any commercial place? I mean, that's what we're looking at, right? If this is zoned commercial and it's approved for commercial use, just like Buscemi's, just like any other commercial use, what's to prevent it?
It comes down to enforcement. But it also is something that the owner or manager, if it's a condominium ultimately, then that could be additional restrictions that are included in the condominium association documentation.
As a
And
part of
probably,
the conditional use also? Or
Um,
conditional rezoning?
Well, he isn't offering, his condition does not, well, maybe it does speak. He does say in his condition that the units will be privately owned. That leads me to believe, in just a read of the condition, that this would be a condominium. That was my understanding. That's why I mentioned it in the beginning. He has said, though, this evening, that he may have those be leased facilities.
Right.
So if he offers as a condition that this will be a condominium ownership structure, then we can accept that as part of the conditional rezoning. If he's not offering that, then we can't ask them, we can't ask it for it. The conditions need to be voluntarily offered. He's indicated this evening that it doesn't sound like he's offering that as part of his conditional rezoning. So you can't consider that as part of the conditional rezoning unless he actually offers it, and then you could accept that. So if you allowed this conditional rezoning, he is offering that it will be just this use. So either it'd be condominium owned and then it'd be deed restrictions and things of that nature, and then the condominium association would have another level of eyes on this to ensure that nobody's living there. If not, then the manager, the owner of the establishment would need to have another, we'd go to them first really for the enforcement.
Okay, so basically it would be similar to any other commercial?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just for procedures here, so for any rezoning, you have 7 standards. And they're listed in the zoning ordinance. I've also included them there. They start at the bottom of page 3 of my review letter for you. And then are continued on the top of page 4. So
And then your
typically,
findings that
you would go through your standards and kind of conduct your evaluation. The couple of comments that I have, one of the things that the applicant has kind of addressed here is standard 3, evidence that the applicant cannot receive a reasonable return on investment through developing the property with one or more of the uses permitted under the current zoning. So it's zoned general commercial. I don't know if this property's been for sale for some time and this is, one of the few offers for this property. I'm not sure. But that is something that the applicant kind of spoke to it as well. The demand, given this is a waterfront community, potential need for storage. It's also kind of worth noting that, a retail store typically needs direct access to the road. This is behind a gas station and behind a car wash. So it doesn't have the advantage of having that visibility and for people to just kind of stop and like, oh, I'd like a coffee, so I'm going to come in and. So, mini warehouse may not be a terrible location given the context of this property. Yeah, and number 6 speaks to the street system to accommodate, from that perspective, a retail use, which is what is allowed in the GC, or a restaurant or something like that would create a greater amount of traffic, although this would be different type of traffic. You'd have boats coming in and out, but certainly not nearly as often as a restaurant or a retail operation would be. We know, of course, for any rezoning that you look at what does the master plan say for this site. The master plan shows this area for future commercial use. So the industrial zoning certainly does not fit that commercial designation. But the applicant is offering a conditional rezoning, limiting the use to just what they're asking for, this multi-unit commercial, or this multi-unit warehouse building. So, it's a little bit of a added level of assurance that the character will stay as what's being presented to us this evening, if the conditional rezoning is approved. Those are some of my comments. I'd be glad to answer any other questions you might have as you work through your standards.
Okay. All right, well, we covered kind of 2 of those, so I guess we can start back on number 1 with the consistency of the goals, policies, and objectives of the master plan and a sub-area plans. If conditions have changed since the master plan was adopted, consistency with the recent development trends in the area shall be considered. So,
I would just, on that point, also say we did refine our ordinance a couple years ago to limit the number of vehicles stored on one's property. And that this would give people an option of a place to store that isn't their driveway or front
Yard. Yes, as I drive around the township, particularly in my neighborhood, people are having a hard time complying with that ordinance. So extra storage, I think, would be beneficial. Especially nice indoor heated storage, which from what I understand is an issue for some of the more expensive boats and RVs.
Which we have also had many proposals before us for indoor boat storage over the last few years. So I think there's a demand, which maybe doesn't go to point 1, but point 7.
any other causes, concerns, or issues with number 1?
Yeah, I'm still struggling with 1. When I read what the goals were for the master plan, I'm taking reference to what was in Adam's letter, retain existing and facilitate new commercial and office development that creates a stable economic tax base and provides quality shopping and services for the residents of the immediate vicinity, township, and region. I haven't been persuaded yet that this proposal is consistent with these goals and policies and objectives of the master plan and any other sub-area plans. I'm being a bit more influenced by that thought, given that this is going to be facing Metropolitan Parkway, which I guess if you're going to call a main street in Harrison Township, I guess you could make that argument that it becomes the most traveled thoroughfare that people visit this township with, that they would be seeing storage buildings. So, like I said, I'm still struggling with that. I haven't yet, in my mind, persuaded myself that that 1 has been satisfied for those reasons.
Any other issues with 1 for anybody? Okay, we'll move on to number 2, compatibility of the site's physical, geological, hydrological, and other environmental features with the uses permitted in the proposed zoning district. Any cause or concerns for that? Hearing none. Move on to number 3, evidence the applicant cannot receive a well, we kind of dealt with that with Adam, so unless there's anything further on number 3, we can move on to number 4. Compatibility of all the potential uses allowed in the proposed zoning district with surrounding uses and zoning in terms of land suitability, impacts on the environment, density, nature of use, traffic impacts, aesthetics, infrastructure, and potential influence on property values.
I think the condition that has been proposed by the applicant addresses that.
All right, on to number 5, the capacity of the township's utilities and services sufficient to accommodate the uses permitted in the requested district without compromising the health, safety, and welfare of the township. I don't believe we have our expert here tonight on that, but I don't.
We do know that there is public water and sewer served to the properties to the east. Access would be provided through Jefferson Avenue. We do have the shared detention facility that could be accommodated for this as well. The applicant did appear before the tech team where we had the DPW engineer, fire planning, and we did not identify infrastructure concerns.
And we kind of hit on number 6 with Adam earlier. And number 7, the apparent demand for the types of uses permitted in the requested zoning district in the township in relation to the amount of land in the township currently zoned to accommodate the demand.
I think we discussed that, the need for it, yep, based on the condition that's been on.
And I would imagine that the land in the existing industrial, just from my day job, I know is at a premium and almost completely full.
And as I said earlier, one of our members did have some concerns, which we did address. The other issues he did have would come up if this were to get approved, if you were to bring a project in front of us at that point. So we don't need to go over those
At the
tonight.
site plan level, you mean?
Pardon me?
At the site plan level,
Yes.
you mean?
Yep. All right. Any further discussion on the topic, or would you like to garner more information from the petitioner? Anything further you'd like to include to us? After hearing the discussion we had up here, if there's any.
I did, with the utilities, I've met with Justin from the Water and Sewer Department. He's indicated that the water and sewer are right there on the property. There's a 12-inch water line, which we'd have to tap into and, to supply the water to the units. The sewer is comes off of 16 Mile, so that's there. It's a convenient, location to tap in. And I've also researched or gotten hold of DTE for the electrical, and they said they can definitely service what I'm looking to do without any interruption to anybody. So all the utilities seem to be in line, which makes this property attractive for this type of development. And I think there is a strong need for this in our community. So, and I've, indicated people I've talked to about it, and they're like, okay, save me a unit, I want one, so I don't think we're gonna have any problem, marketing them, and I'm working with professional people to build these things the right way. So, like I said, I'm a lifelong resident. I've been here for my whole life, and I'm not gonna put something in that I'm not happy with, so, I got pretty good standards, I mean, so. I hope you'll, and like I said, I do have a limited time frame to, purchase the property, because we've got a, option to purchase right now with a 90-day due diligence, so this is, I'm kind of making sure that I can do this the right way and following what you guys suggest and what you guys recommend, and we'll get it done, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I make a motion to recommend approval of conditional rezoning of this site from GC to IND for the future development of a boat RV storage facility, subject to the standards that were discussed for this rezoning request that were outlined in the planner's letter dated January 9th, 2026, standards 1 through 7, which I find and suggest that this proposal meets.
Do we have a second? Support. Okay, we have support. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, go ahead with roll call.
Member Devlin?
Yes.
Member Tomanello?
Yes.
Member Boccia?
No.
Member Oparka, yes. Chair Duncan?
Yes. Okay, motion passed. We'll see you again down the line.
This does go to the township
It does go
board.
to the township board, so we may see you down.
If the township
Suggested,
board
yeah.
ultimately adopts your conditional rezoning, then the planning commission may see you again.
For second.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to, well, I guess we've already done the public hearings. We're on to the old business, E1, proposed zoning ordinance and zoning map amendments that we had spoke with last month.
Okay. Okay, planning commission. As you know, we've been working through a package of zoning ordinance amendments. This is back on our agenda after we held the public hearing last month in December. So we were looking at proposed text and map amendments with a particular focus on housing. After the public hearing was opened and closed, the planning commission decided to table or postpone action, wanted to hammer out a number of items. First, the planning commission determined that we would remove any references to short-term rental regulations out of this package of zoning ordinance amendments. So we have provided to you an updated draft of amendments dated January 7th, and there are no proposed regulations for or prohibiting short-term rentals. So those proposals have been removed, and the planning commission determined that they would discuss that topic separately at separate meetings along a different path. That was the one change to the proposed text amendments. Additionally, there were a few considerations with regard to zoning map changes. So if you recall, the township was looking at updating and changing a number of different properties, the zoning on different properties for various reasons. After discussion at the December meeting, there were four properties actually, that we wanted to take a second look at. The first two are next to each other. They're both on South River Road. One property, it was indicated to us, that has a single-family dwelling on it presently, and then the neighboring property has a dwelling that's currently under construction. We were previously looking at changing those to the ROS district, which the proposed ROS district, which would not allow single-family dwellings, and that was not the intent of the planning commission to hinder those property owners. And so on this zoning map, here's the two properties now indicated as going to the R1A district. That's what the planning commission suggested. That district allows single-family residential dwellings. So that's two of the changes on the zoning map from last month. The third is 26100 Casa Grande Street. This is the Casa Grande Apartments. We didn't realize that that was an apartment complex there, and this was, we're making changes to the RM1 district, that's the current zoning for that property, to eliminate conventional apartments. But we didn't want to hinder those existing apartments in the township by making them non-conforming, and so we've identified those as being changed to the RM2. This one we missed, but now on the proposed zoning map, you'll see here, this is the triangle piece, Casa Grande Apartments, now shown as going to the RM2 district. The fourth property that was discussed was brought up by one of the property owner who attended the public hearing. And he owns property that is a 10-acre property on the east side of Jefferson Avenue. Here's the property up on screen. We weren't quite sure where that property was. We couldn't quite confirm that during the meeting. And so we reached out to the applicant. I talked to the applicant, spoke to the applicant over the phone, and confirmed that this is the property. I asked him what is, so this was one of those that was proposed to be changed from to the new ROS district, Recreation and Open Space District, that would not allow single-family dwellings. He said that it was his intent to sell the property for a future development of residential homes. And so he is asking that we reconsider the change to ROS and instead change it to a district that would allow residential dwellings. The R1A would make sense. That would be the most restrictive residential zoning district. But I will mention to you, just in looking at this property further, digging into the characteristics of it, according to FEMA flood mapping information, the entirety of this parcel, all 10 acres, is part of a 100-year floodplain. And the entirety of the parcel is flagged per the National Wetlands Inventory as a freshwater emergent wetland. Now, the FEMA map is official. The National Wetlands Inventory map is not official. It's just a flag. It's not a substitute for an on-site investigation of wetlands. But I think that's a consideration as to why we may want to keep it as proposed, changing it to the ROS district, because it does not seem like the surrounding properties, which are also undeveloped and are also in the floodplain and a wetland. None of those have been developed, and actually all of those have been purchased by the Huron Clinton Metro Parks. So I don't know that, even though the applicant has requested that we consider R1 zoning, I don't know that that's appropriate given the conditions on the property presently.
So I wonder if we wouldn't just want to leave it as it is, because, you know, those firm maps can always be changed with engineering to letters of map amendment or letters of map revision, and would that owner then have grounds to say that we were depriving him of his ability to have one single-family dwelling on his currently zoned R1 property? Wouldn't it maybe just be better to leave it?
I'll let maybe Rosemary speak to that. I'll give you my answer. I mean, the property right now does
And
allow.
I'm just posing the question.
It does allow for single-family dwelling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like.
But
wouldn't
it's
we
not
just-
the only use that's allowed. There are other uses, you know, recreation, there's private recreation, there's institutional, and the applicant is looking to sell the property. Residential may have been what the applicant thought in his head, in his mind, as far as what he'd want, but this doesn't entirely limit the property so that you can't do anything with it. But yeah, we would be taking away the opportunity to establish a dwelling on that property. But is that?
Well, you'd have to
Does
have
it-
good planning principles to justify it.
Does that put us at risk, I guess, is,
Always.
okay.
So is Adam's observations relative to the floodplain sufficient planning data to still support
I
going to?
think
yeah.
it's a justification, yes.
All right.
I mean, there's not even, typically when someone changes the floodplain, there's a portion of the property that's not in the floodplain. The entirety of the property is shown, so that's not like, there's an upland area that could maybe be developed. And then if you go to the wetland layer, again, so I get what you're saying, Danielle, but I also feel like
I was just putting it out there.
Well, it's a difference of opinion, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, I
But
don't
if
even
there's
really-
sufficient planning data to stick with the ROS district as proposed, that doesn't preclude the landowner in the future to request a zoning change, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah, it just
Yeah, he could
costs
ask
them
for
money.
rezoning
and-
back.
Right, but at least the planning data as of today suggested that the planning data supports ROS for a whole series of reasons.
One reason. The wetland.
Well, it's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
So that one, I did not make the change on the map that was included in your draft. That property is this one right here, so it's shown on this current draft as ROS district, but it's up to you if you'd like to change that to R1A. And of course, if you have any additional changes or suggestions either to the text or to the map, I'd be glad to talk about those. Ultimately, and we've reviewed this on numerous occasions during the planning commission meetings, and the public hearing has been held, so you can either continue discussion and take this up at a future meeting, or you could recommend adoption with or without changes to the text or the map to the township board.
Any further discussion or motion on this matter from the board? Anyone?
I will make a motion to recommend the proposed zoning ordinance and zoning map amendments to the township board. Do I need to read all these
You
out?
can refer to the dates of January 7th for the text and map.
I will say the proposed zoning text and map amendments dated January 7th, 2026.
Okay. Is there a second? Support. Support. Any discussion on the motion?
Is there any willingness to remove that one property from the entire suite of changes and just leave it as is, R1? I'm just throwing it out there to see if there's any willingness to change your motion for that.
I mean, I guess as a board, is that what we want to do?
I mean, you're making the motion. If you're not interested in that, then just say no and we'll
I
vote
think
on it.
we have discussed that there is sound planning evidence that doesn't support the need to keep that R1A. And that the property owner can always come back and rezone it, ask for a rezoning.
Yeah, understood. I just, since we were having an opportunity for discussion, I just don't like to rezone property when people aren't asking for it, when it deprives them of a potential future use. But just wanted to bring that up under discussion.
Any further discussion? See none? Go ahead with the roll call.
Member Oparka, yes. Member Tomanello?
Yes.
Member Boccia?
Yes.
Member Devlin?
No.
Chair Duncan?
Yes.
But yes to everything else.
Okay, we have that one. E2, we have a discussion, which we're just talking about the scheduled work session for the short-term rental regulations. Do we have anything we want to throw out there tonight on that?
So the date, just want to make sure that we're all okay with February 5th. And what was the time for that, Melody?
I
Okay.
think Cheryl was looking for like 6 or 6.
I asked for 6 or
There are 2 people, yeah.
why not 6 or
6:30 is fine for me.
Okay.
So February 5th at 6:30 it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
February
that would
5th
be a
at
planning
6:30.
commission work session, and we will just bring that topic for further discussion.
For that, okay. So, new business, we have none. Correspondence? None, I'm assuming?
Do we want to, just wanted to let you know, we didn't, I guess that's correspondence to the planning commission, correct? I mean, we've received postcards.
Oh, yeah, I heard about those.
The township has received a number of postcards. You can see the stack of postcards. All of them are similar and they're related to the short-term rental topic. So we'll make sure to share the content of the postcards with you and make sure that those are available for discussion at the work session.
Yeah.
I received one in the mail.
Okay.
And we're going to record the number that we received, is that correct?
93 right now.
Okay.
All right. Comments from the planner?
Yeah, a couple of things. First, I just wanted to introduce Brad Doan. He's a planner at Wade Trim, and he has been helping me out quite a bit over the last really several years on Harrison Township reviews and projects. So quite a bit of the legwork that is done on the reviews often is done by Brad. And so I asked him to come and sit in and so he can actually get to know Harrison a little bit better and get some experience kind of at the planning commission level, seeing how you guys work. Figured he can do better on the reviews because he now knows who you are and what you care about and all of that. So I just wanted to introduce Brad. Thank you for being here.
Brad?
Also, we had a tech team meeting yesterday, and we had two discussion-only items on the agenda, and I'll just bring you up to speed on those. Okay, so the first one was the Napa kind of repair shop on Jefferson Avenue at Earl Street, corner of Jefferson and Earl. And so they're looking at potentially doing a small building addition toward the back of that car repair facility. So at this point, it was just a discussion only. We went through the various ordinance requirements and things of that nature.
Adam, is that in the DDA?
That is in the V1A district, and I believe that is in the DDA, yes.
Did you mention that we have a facade improvement program?
I did not.
But you
Fail, all right. We should,
have more
maybe Melody,
contact
we
with
can let
them?
the owner know about the DDA's program.
They may have already gotten one from us, but we had not had a ton of applications for that program in the last few years, so I definitely encourage them if they're doing site improvements to
Okay.
consider it.
Very good. And the second one was from a proposed, this is at if you remember the Monsoor development at the corner of Rosso and I-94, where they're looking at the outlots and the commercial development. So one of the people looking at an outlot is 7 Brew, a drive-through coffee place, is looking at one of the outlots. So they were asking questions about ordinance requirements, infrastructure, and things of that nature. So that, of course, is a discussion only. They would have to come before the planning commission because it's a drive-through for both site plan and special land use review approval. So we may see that on a future agenda. That's all I have for you.
Thank you. Comments from the floor?
Chair, I do have a
Oh, I'm
comment
sorry.
from the ZBA.
Okay, go ahead.
And I wasn't
Sorry about
really,
that.
I had emailed Adam and Carol to see if I should bring it up tonight or wait till our work session, but I imagine the work session is going to be pretty packed, agenda-wise. And we had an issue at the ZBA this week where a resident was asking for a variance for a third accessory structure for a shed. that he had actually installed in 2023. The shed houses all of his toys, four-wheeler, and a lot of stuff that he previously had stored in a trailer on his driveway prior to building the shed. His accessory structures were a gazebo, the shed, and his covered boat well. The ZBA was asking for us to consider looking at the ordinance to maybe change that to not consider the covered boat well, since it's over the water, not on his property, as not counting that as an accessory structure. And for me, it was a struggle because we did pass, like I said earlier, the ordinance that limits the amount of trailers and boats and stuff that gets stored on one's driveway or property. And so for me, when he said, well, just get the trailer back, it's fine. You know, I guess, how do we address that?
So if the planning commission wants, we can maybe just add it to a future agenda and initiate kind of that broader conversation. Thanks for sharing, you know, that was a ZBA request to the planning commission, so I think we should, at the very least, add it to an agenda for discussion. I can share with you, I can be prepared to provide like a memo for you, include the current ordinance language so we can see what's on the books presently. And then we can consider whether we'd want to move forward with an amendment.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan. Did my job.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, John Spatafora, Harrison Township. I was at 10 acres that you rezoned it, I take it, to ROS. Is that correct?
A recommendation to the township board, yes.
Okay. And ROS is,
Recreation and open space.
so I could do basically hunting, trapping, and stuff like that there?
Yeah, private recreation is one of the allowable uses in that district,
Okay.
correct?
Would I be able to fence that off to do that?
I think that's certainly, that's a possibility.
Okay.
As part of a use like that, certainly something you could do. It would require permitting through
Okay,
the
of
township,
course, of course.
but that's something that you could definitely explore.
Okay.
Or a future owner.
Well, I'd probably go with the hunting and trapping there, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I had a letter that I presented yesterday, but you didn't discuss it. So do they have my letter?
I gave it to them virtually, but I was saving the hard copy because it's about the short-term rentals, and that's the discussion.
That wasn't tonight's topic, so.
Okay, so, but you do have the letter, correct?
I believe it's in our packet.
Okay, good. And can I comment on the thing that case number 20, the first case you had? Can I comment
You
it on?
can comment on
now?
anything you'd like to during your time.
Oh, okay, great. First of all, didn't know what was going on with it, but you need to ask about lighting, commercial lighting. You need to ask about the turn radius, because they will be bringing in 40-foot flatbeds. That's the only way you're going to get that steel piling material in. And I don't think you've got enough turn radius. Plus, you're on the curb, and their base is bringing in their tankers, their fuel tankers along there. And I can see that being a really bad hazard, being on a curb with the 40-foot, flatbed, trying to get out of that property. And porta potties, they said they're going to have them on the barges. Well, eventually they have to empty those, so how do they get them off, and how does that truck get in there, and how do they do all that? So, there are a lot of questions with that property. Again, the lighting, the turn radius there, what would happen if they have to block the road because they can't make that radius. Okay, so you got my letter? Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, C. William Bardell. I wanted to comment on that conditional rezoning from general commercial to industrial. on a conditional rezoning, what you guys should have did was hold off for the, drawings to see if they're gonna have flat roofs, A-frame roofs, or if they're gonna have nice roofs, if they're gonna have some texture, they're gonna have something nice. That's the beauty of a conditional rezoning, something creative that you could look at, physically look at, and say, okay, this is what the applicant's gonna do, instead of just giving them the okay to do this. Okay, I'm not against it, but you would have a much more control to see the final product before you grant this conditional rezoning. Remember, you're going from general commercial to industrial, so you want something creative, okay? Not a flat roof, not an A-frame roof. You want something with texture, different things, the landscaping, the trees, you want all that stuff. And they can do that. If he's got a 90-day window, they can do all that. They got people that actually do that. They do that 40 hours a week. That's what they do. So that's what that's the power that you had to actually get the right drawings. The ones that I saw, they look terrible. No, absolutely not. So that's the power that you have with a conditional rezoning to actually get those elevations and those drawings and look at the textures, the type of bricks, the type of roofs, the landscaping and all that sort of thing that highlights that corner, because everyone's going to see the back side of it as they come down there. That everybody going to the beach is going to see that behind that gas station. So this was an opportunity to get some nice texture and architecture in there and actually do something creative. It could be a win-win. So that's why I wanted to urge you to please get the better drawings before you okay this. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Any other further public comment?
Adam Bell, the owner over at 30200 North River, Glen River Boathouse. We just want to be able to help here on Point, serve the community, because there's only so many places that they can dock their barges. We look forward to working with you guys to making sure that that gets done, and just wanted to introduce myself.
Thank you. Any other further comment?
I forgot to mention my name when I went up there. Do I need to?
No, that's fine. Yeah, thank you. I think she's got it noted. Thank you, though. Okay. All right, our next meeting is February 19th. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Support.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Good job.